Hi, welcome to today's video. I'm going on a trip really soon and have to plan my TBR in advance, so that's what we're doing today. I'm usually a mood reader, which is why I never follow my TBRs, but the thing about traveling is that you need to take your books with you, so I've been thinking about this for weeks, going to my bookshelf, picking a few off, and going back and forth, and I think I've settled on my physical TBR. While I'm away, I very well will probably end up reading ebooks just because, like, it is more accessible, but I like to read on the beach and I can't read on my phone at the beach because I can't really see my screen with my sunglasses on. It's a whole thing. So I have 7 physical books that I'm taking with me. Let's get into them. I chose these books specifically because they are like ordinary paperback size rather than a lot of these really big ones. I would have loved to take some of those books with me, but it's just not really possible because of like luggage space. But yes, let's get into these. First up is Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey. I've had this book on my TBR for a long time. I've heard that it's climate fiction. It's about the rewilding of a group of wolves and it just sounds very interesting. And it's like not too big, it won't take up too much space. It also feels like the kind of thing I would read while traveling. I don't really know how to explain my reading taste when I'm traveling. Sometimes I want super lighthearted, like rom-com-y stuff, but sometimes I like the idea of being that like mysterious girl sitting on a park bench somewhere just like reading her book. I'm not mysterious in any sense of the word, but I could be reading a cool book. So I'm hoping that taking this on the trip will actually give me that final push to read it, because I've tried to read it so many times. Well, I've told myself I'd read it so many times. I've never actually like opened it up and tried, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen within the next couple months. Basically all of these books are standalones. That's something I keep in mind when I'm traveling, because when I read the start of a series, I typically have to continue if the books are out. This next book is the only exception, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I have read basically everything else Leigh Bardugo has put out other than this series. I think it's a duology, I'm not sure if more is coming, but as of right now there is Ninth House and Hellbent. I don't own the physical copy of that because I finally learnt not to buy a whole series before I've read them. I call it character development. We'll see if it lasts. But yes, I've loved everything I've read from Leigh Bardugo and I'm sure I'll enjoy this. I started it years ago. I don't know if you can see, but I got a whole 12 pages in and I think it's time I read it. I'm going on a summer holiday. Like, I'm catching the end of summer, start of autumn. But apparently summer is going to last a while this year. There's been weird weather things happening, so it's going to still very much be summer. These books all feel very autumn to me, which is good though, because in my head I'm quite worried that it's going to get cold really quickly, although I'm going to be like in the Mediterranean. It doesn't get like super cold, but if it does, it's fine because I have like autumnal books to read and everything is perfect. I don't know a lot about this book other than it's about secret societies, which sounds cool. So yeah, I'm really excited. This next book is one that I knew I'd bring because it's quite small and so it's easy to travel with, and that is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I'm so sorry, I could not remember the name. This, first of all, is like one of the most pretty books ever. I don't know if the camera picks up the like reflection, but it's beautiful. This book is about a cafe that allows you to time travel for as long as it takes for your coffee to get cold. I feel like it's going to be a really emotional read, people seeing like their loved ones who have passed and things, but I'm quite looking forward to this. When I'm planning books for when I'm traveling, I am picturing very imaginative scenarios, things that probably won't actually happen, but I'm imagining I'm in a cafe, I've got my book out, I'm looking really cool and like just so worldly, reading my little book and having my coffee. Like, in my head, I'm just like waiting for a really cool barista to ask me what I'm reading and like talk to me about my book. You know what I mean? Like, I think we all have those made up scenarios in our heads. thinking that we look really cool, but in reality, when I read, I don't look cool because I like get really close to the paper and like I get very focused, so I can dream about being cool even if I know I'm not. The next book I'm taking with me is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. Moshfegh? I bought this book because it had a cool cover. I think it's really pretty, but I did end up hearing people talk about it and people seem to like it. I have heard mixed opinions. Some people didn't get much from it, others got heaps from it. I'm really intrigued by this book. I don't know a lot about it. I feel like I heard that it's about this girl that like gets put to sleep for a year or something. I don't know if that's true, but I'm very intrigued and it's not too big and I'm determined to read it on my trip. This next book is one I'm taking specifically because I feel like the vibes match, like the vibe of the holiday matches the book, and that is Circe by Madeline Miller. I mentioned earlier I'm going to be in the Mediterranean. This book is set vaguely in the Mediterranean. You know, my brain's connecting dots that might not really be there, but I read The Song of Achilles years ago and absolutely loved it. It absolutely shattered my heart, but I had a really good time reading it and I would really like to read Circe. I don't know much about like Circe in terms of mythology. If I'm remembering right from Percy Jackson, is Circe the one with the guinea pigs? Maybe? Let me see. I think in actual mythology they were normal pigs, not guinea pigs. But yeah, I honestly have no idea what this book is about. I just have liked the author's other work and I think I'll like it. I mean, mythology is really cool. I really enjoy mythology. I can't wait to read this book. The next book I'd like to read is also not a standalone. I only just realized that now, but I think it's fine. And that is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I mentioned this book in my August TBR, but I would like to get to this. It's been on my TBR for years. I've owned it for years and I'm just excited to get to it. I'm really intrigued by stories about celebrity and like social media fame, and it just sounds really cool. And I just like really like Hank Green as like a guy. Like all the stuff he does online is like really cool, and so like I want to read his book. And lastly, I was sitting in front of my bookshelf for quite a while trying to decide on this last one. I wanted to take a classic with me. I have this problem where I buy classics constantly. Whenever I'm at an op shop, I buy a classic. Have I ever read a classic? No. Well, in school, kind of. I read like Medea and I read The Crucible. I have never sat down and read a classic novel though, but after a long time of deliberation, I have settled on The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. I don't know if I'm going to read it, but I am going to try. I had never really engaged in any Sherlock related media until this year. I watched BBC Sherlock and it sure was a show. It was something. But I am interested in reading like the novel. Like, full disclosure, this is also part of me wanting to look cool and mysterious when I'm out and about. I want to like be sitting somewhere with a classic novel. I feel like I'd look cool. That makes it sound really performative. I do actually want to read this though. But yeah, part of it is completely, like, I'm not gonna lie, part of it is I want to look cool reading a classic. But yeah, I feel like this is a safe bet. A lot of the classics I have are quite old copies that I don't really want to damage in travel, so this one's like super beat up and it's not more than a few decades old, so it's fine. I don't care what happens to this book. It's also like not exactly a rare book. It is like one of the Orange Penguin books. They're everywhere. But yes, those are the books I'd like to take with me. Again, I will probably be reading ebooks. I feel like this is a pretty small stack for like 7 books. They're all quite small and easily like packable, so I think this is a good selection. I'm also interested in buying books while I'm away, which is a choice because I really don't know if I'm gonna have luggage space, but I like the idea of picking up a few books while I'm away. There are a lot of really cool antique stores and I would like to pick up some old books. I feel like because I live in Australia, we just don't have that much old stuff. Like, Australia is a pretty young country, but Europe is so old, so I feel like it's like way easier to find old stuff. So I'd like to pick up some like really old books and probably new books. There's a book coming out right before my flight back home. I don't know if I'll be able to find it in bookstores, but I do want to try and pick that up to read on the plane back, but we'll see. I'm sure I will update you while I'm away. If you want to see what I'm up to while I'm away, I will be posting on Instagram. My username is just the Isabella Louise. I'll link it below and everything. But yeah, I'll be like posting on there daily because it's fun and I like to show my friends what I'm up to on holiday. But yeah, that's all I've got for today. I'm so excited, I'm so nervous, but I'm really glad I've got this out of the way. I've been really stressed about what books I'm gonna take, but now I know and everything's good and I can actually pack. I have like a very short amount of time before I leave and I have not started packing and I'm very nervous, but I'm gonna stop rambling and maybe go and do that. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked this video, you can give it a thumbs up. Let me know if there are any books you recommend that I read while I travel. I upload twice a week, so you can subscribe to see my future videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye.